My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, a podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life-changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima Jope, a partner for those that are ready to take their life-changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. Welcome back, my friend. Welcome to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast. And first of all, I have to honor you and salute you for choosing this podcast over the million other podcasts you could happily be on. There's so many things you could be doing with your life. You're here today, listening to the World's Best Kept Secret, listening to one of our guests today. I do have a dear friend of mine on the show. And the first time I heard about Andria was when she saw my story on Facebook and she was like, I want you to be on a podcast. You know, those things where you go on Facebook and you share a story and you share a lesson and you move on. And what is even interesting is that post got crickets. Nobody else saw it, but somehow Andria got it and said, you need to be a guest on my podcast. But there might be an Andria who is looking at this and going, is this my perfect guest? So that's how I met Andria. We did an episode with her on her podcast, the Women Who Lead podcast. You know, being in a point where 25 years of your life or 40 or whatever they are, you've lived everyone else's life. You've lived your mom's life. You've lived your dad's life. You've lived your husband's life. You've been just working and living a life that you did not choose. You know that this episode is going to be for you if you feel like you're amazing in everyone's life but yours. If that's you, I want you to pull a stool and I want you to come closer. And at the end of this, if you feel like Andria has done justice to you and has served you, I want you to share this episode with one person that you know is amazing in everyone's life other than their life. Welcome to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast. I am more than excited to be interviewing you today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. And I love that you call me Andria, but it is Lisa Andria. So you can call me Lisa. I know that a lot of people call me Andria because it's such a very close to the first name. But yes, that what you said is exactly true. It is. I really want to help women not take as long as I did to be able to live for themselves, to be the headliner in their own show.
The headliner. Before we get in the weeds, Lisa is she's been certified to do this. She has a powerful background in the telecom industry, 41 years of experience. She's now dedicating herself to empowering women over 25, discover their true self and living their best lives because it took her forever to do that. She started coaching her journey started in 2019. Can you imagine that? Like 2019, how many years have passed? Today, she specializes in personal transformation, helping her clients set achievable goals and embrace change. What the work Lisa does is she embraces intuitive methods to enhance self-awareness and address challenges, guiding clients towards sustainable transformation. It is always amazing how you can move through life, how you can be a passenger in your own life. It's amazing how you can be sat in the movie when the movie is about you and you don't know who wrote the script. Lisa, where should we begin?
Well, I'll tell you we can begin with my own experience where at about my early 50s, about 11 years into marriage relationship, I just woke up one day and realized I had no idea who I was. I was living everything, every vacation, every goal, all work, everything was done for my husband or my parents or my, family or friends. I even lost contact with some really cherished friends because I focused so much on what my husband wanted to do. And I woke up that morning and I said, okay, I don't know who I am, but I'm going to start the journey to find out. And I had to let him know it may include you and it may not. I couldn't make any promises. And I started because I didn't know about life coaching. So I started with therapy and really delving into who am I, and then understanding about the people pleaser, about the fact that had trauma from a childhood of bullying and people making fun of me and feeling ugly and invisible with the glasses because I was born without, good eyesight, and they didn't figure it out till I was 10 years old. And then at that age to put on, big, thick glasses, it wasn't like it is today. So that was carrying trauma with me. And so going through therapy and really going through a lot more years of trying to figure this out, is where it led me to the point where in 2019, I left my job crying. Wow. Because it was so stressful. The boss had made me cry several times. I just said, that's it. I took 6 months off right in about 2018 into 2019. And that's when I thought, you know what, I'm on a reinvention. I'm going to completely reinvent what I do for a living, how I live my life. And that's when I discovered life coaching. I always loved to write about my experience. And I thought that writing would help other women. I thought, let me take my experience and help other women. And then I found out about life coaching and I thought, oh my gosh, I can actually do it as a career. And I started getting certified. I had some clients in 2019. I did have to go back to full-time work because I wasn't at that magic age of 59 and a half where you can actually retire without any penalties. But I took a downgrade. I went from a high-stress sales account management role to more of a support role. And so I finished off my last 3.5 years or so and retired fully in December of 2022. And during that period, I still had some clients while I was working full time. But of course, we went through COVID. And as a telecom person, I was working 11, 12 hours a day from my home. It was a little different than other people's experiences. So I still was on the hamster wheel and not thinking about myself, but I still had in the back of my mind, I know what life coaching is. I know what my purpose is now. And that's a big deal, is finding out. I help women find their values, their purpose, their passion, and to really learn about themselves, become aware of who they are, what their truth is, what their power is. That's what I went through to be able to be confident about myself. Once you find what your purpose and passion is and who you are and you're aware of yourself, then you can start to shed the old you, the person who was a pleaser. You can start feeling confident about who you are. They say you have a direction, you have a goal, you have a place to go. And so instead of leaning and looking in the rearview mirror, you can look in forward, and you can move forward with more confidence. And there's other techniques and things that I can do to help you shed that trauma to get rid of the baggage. But that was my journey.
Let's go back a little bit, Lisa. You woke up one morning and you told your husband, I don't know who I am. That can be hard for most people. So I would love to know what happened for you to get to a place where, you know what, I really don't know who I am, and enough is enough. Now is the time to change my life. What happened there for you to get to that point where you're like, you know what, this is it, I'm going to figure it out? What triggered that?
Well, I think unhappiness. I realized, I was living each day almost as a shell of myself. And I had wonderful, longstanding friends, and I had an interest in music that I loved. And that was missing. It was completely missing in my life. I had even lost touch with those close friends, completely lost touch with them. And it wasn't a lot. It was like a good 4 people that I loved dearly, that I had a history with. and they were gone. I had just started a new marriage, a new relationship, and when I sat up that morning, I realized I was blank inside. I had no love for myself. And that was jarring. And I literally just sat up in bed on a Sunday morning. I remember it very, very distinctly, and said, that's it. That's enough. I'm not getting younger. And you only have one life to live. I needed to live it for me. It was something. And it completely changed my life from then on. I discovered not only my love for music, but my talent to sing and actually play percussion and play music, and joined some friends' bands and got into that, and realized I had that talent that I'd never explored. Got back friends and got in touch with them. Started again therapy about being that people pleaser. Where did that come from, and how to shed that? And I put myself first for the first time, probably my entire.
So I'm just listening to this and going, your husband, did you tell him, like, this may include you, it may know, but this, how did he receive that? Because some men can panic and think, oh, are you leaving me or whatever? How did he respond
No,
to
it was difficult. We did go to therapy together.
that?
So
Wow.
there were things that he worked on also,
Mhm.
and that we worked on together. So we went separate therapy and then also therapy together.
Mhm.
And that was super helpful because as a man, he discovered things about himself too. So it was a period for him to make discoveries and changes with himself. So all of that was a healthy way to go. I had to tell him I couldn't promise. And I don't know if there was that I had an inclination that perhaps I wasn't with the right person, because remember, when you're not living for yourself,
Mm.
who you attract and what decisions you make are not based on your own unique values. They're based on society's values or or other people's values. So, I mean, I'm going to cry just saying it, because I feel bad that I did have to ask him for a divorce after 4 years after that happened.
Wow.
But, and I feel bad about it. However, I have to understand that I made decisions in my life based on where I was at the time.
Mm.
And it wasn't the last bad decision about relationships. We have certainly perpetuate patterns, and I made several others, but each one is a lesson.
Mm.
So I started understanding over the last 5 years that bad decisions, you forgive yourself and you learn from it.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah, it was difficult, but I asked him to take the steps with me.
Mm.
And that's where the therapy came in, and we did it together and separately. And I know it helped him for his future relationships,
Mm.
because there were things he needed to work on, and he did. It's just unfortunate that in the end, I felt he wasn't the right person for me. And I was right
Mm.
in the end, but it was difficult. Yeah, it was
That's
difficult.
called a leap.
That is a leap.
That
Big
was your
time.
entire life's partner, somebody you saw as your life's forever partner, and you somehow have to let them go.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there were things that there were, I'm not going to get into details of certain things that I didn't think would be good going into a future relationship with him. But in the end, I just felt it wasn't the right thing for me. Yeah. And again, I had to forgive myself too. You make decisions based on your own unique values and awareness of yourself. And if you don't have that true, like I call myself kind of an inner truth explorer for my clients, because if you don't know what your truth is, you can't make the right decisions in your life, or you can't attract the right people to your life.
You actually can't. Now you get into this life coaching, and you get to know yourself, you get to discover yourself, you get to know your values, your boundaries, all of these things, and now you start doing this work for women. And in the backstage, I say to you, so Lisa, what's the uniqueness of your methodology? And you say to me, the kind of profiling I do is like taking an X-ray through your life. Tell us about the X-ray. I am also like, okay, I hope this X-ray ends well. So take us to the
So
X-ray research, because I'm one of
always,
those people who've never taken an X-ray. So please take us there.
so there are assessment tools that have been around for many, many years, right? You know, they're all different types of assessment tools, and they usually put you in a box as to what kind of person you are, and then how to deal with people that are different from you, right? And or how to deal with how you are and make yourself successful by understanding that. I was made aware of a being profile assessment tool that came out of Australia from particularly a small group of people, in fact, one man in particular who started the idea. And it is an ontological type of assessment tool that studies how you are being in the world, with others, with yourself. It gives you a healthy score of 1 to 10 on 31 aspects of being. And they're broken into 4 different categories. Like the major ones would be awareness, which I think is very key. Obviously, you cannot transition your life, make a change without being aware of how you are being right now. The other one is integrity, and it's not necessarily people that live with integrity. It's more about like a table that has 3 legs, and one of the legs is a little off. So the integrity, you're not a whole human being, right? You don't feel wholeness. And then the third one, which is the 3 major ones, is effectiveness. So in your life, even as a leader or as a leader in your own life or in relationships, in your own life, how effective are you? And then all the other aspects, there's 4 moods that he puts in, and then primary aspects of being, and then secondary aspects of being. And all of those put together, you read, once you've done the assessment, I would take you through a 2-hour debrief, and it is an amazing tool for coaches because it tells us either eye-opening areas of your life, which could be higher purpose, compassion, care, how you deal with fear, how you deal with anxiety, confidence, vulnerability, authenticity. These are some of the things. And it gives you a healthy or unhealthy score. We go through them, and you literally see a story of who you truly are inside. Sometimes a little confronting because you may not have wanted to face that, but now that it's been put out into the open, it's things, it's places that you can work on to be able to understand what your truth is. And that really leads you on the path to live your own life, to take that leap of faith into your own life, like I was saying earlier, and not be pleasing others. You know, it's quite amazing. And it's through a company called Ingenesis, and there's a whole philosophy around it. And the more I spend time with the people who use this tool, and the more I learn about it, and the more I use it with my clients, because it is built into my Power Leap program. It is built in. It's absolutely amazing.
So in one of these things you said, so there's 3 things I pick up here. This profiling tool is going to help you become aware of who you are. It's going to drop into the integrity of you. It's going to show you your effectiveness. And then you said it's going to give you a story. What is the story? What is in the story? What story is it giving me?
So it's going to give you whatever your story is. I am there as a facilitator to go through and explain and kind of pick out certain things that, like vulnerability and authenticity, have are very linked. So when you are low, let's say, on your health score and vulnerability, well, more than likely you're afraid to show who you are, who your authentic self is. So you might have a fake persona that you present to people. Not perhaps what you need to understand as a human being is that being vulnerable is powerful. When you are your true self and you show mistakes and whatever it is, you're comfortable with being like that, then people trust you, and they will listen to you, because vulnerability is power. So that's just one of the kind of stories that can come out. But I am there to facilitate the person, my client, in discovering what they need to discover on their own. I am there to ask the open-ended questions, to go through this, to ask the questions based on the aspect of being, and to get and to tell them explain each aspect of being. And part of the explanation is, this is the description of a healthy relationship with, let's say, fear. This is a description of an unhealthy relationship with fear. When you feel fear, do you freeze up? Are you not able to take action? Or when you feel fear, are you able to put that aside, take a couple breaths, be in fear, feel it, but still able to move forward and take action? So I'm not telling the person what to discover. Through this process of a full 2 hours, and I'll tell you, it goes by fast, a 2-hour debrief, they discover more about themselves through the questions and through what has come up and the score of healthy or unhealthy and the information that I provide to them.
Lisa, I am listening to you going, I don't know, I don't understand. Is there a way you can kind of help us understand what this story looks like? For example, sharing what your story was, if that's not maybe out of context, or sharing one person's profile named X or Y, or Joe, I don't know, any other name you can make up. What are the things that get revealed? What can I expect that to look like? The assessment, when you've done the X-ray, what parts of me are being seen in the X-ray? Like, what exactly are you looking for? Are you diagnosing? We're kind of hearing you say these things, and we're like, I wonder if it's like the thing that John Maxwell does, or I wonder if you get, like, we kind of say this Genesis thing, like, I wonder if it's like the thing I took about my strength and weakness. Like, we're kind of wondering what this tool is, and we want to get really excited about it, but we're still fuzzy, like, oh, Lisa, is it the thing that I get with John Maxwell? Or is it the thing that I get with the other person? So could you
I'll give you one example.
Yeah,
I'll give you an example. Okay.
Amazing.
So I have known someone for over 40 years, and I said, hey, you're my friend. I was going through the certification. I needed to do 10 debriefs to get through it in order to go, to get to the point where I was certified. And she took it. It was one of the last debriefs that I did before I got my certification. So I was really now feeling very confident of, how I was doing it. And even after knowing someone for 40 plus years, I discovered something new about her that she discovered through this process. She discovered and realized that she doesn't, how normally when we talk about failing and learning from your failures, that's important, right? You can fail, but don't take it as failure, take it as a lesson that you will learn in order to change your path going forward. She would not allow herself even to get to the point of failure. She would be challenged and then stop what she was doing. And these are things that would be things that she wanted to do for herself. These were dreams that she wanted to take. And she wouldn't even allow herself to get to the point of failure. And I did not know this. I knew that there were things I thought that she should do that I had suggested for many, many years, but I did not realize that it was the problem that she had was so strong that it stopped at just being challenged. And we uncovered that. And so after this, I started coaching her, and it didn't take too many sessions, but having her, pushing her and being her support system and her cheerleader, and giving her certain steps of understanding her specific values, and then talking about what her dreams truly were, and having her discover and uncover those, and then making assignments, cheering her on, getting her to take the steps, and understanding that you can fail, but it's not really failure. It is taking the steps just to learn and adjust and keep going. And she is actually pursuing several of the things that she wanted to pursue, and she's not stopping at challenge anymore.
Is there more from the assessment that you wanted to share?
I don't think there's more unless you have any other questions for clarity, but when I say 31 aspects, I mean 31. I mean, they include things like love, contribution, partnership. There's a good group, a big grouping of things that are inside of you that you can't see. People can't see this in you. They can't see this. And then there are 8 at the end called secondary ways of being. And those are the things that people can see, like reliability, confidence. These are things that are on the outward side of you, proactivity. It's still aspects of being, but it's the secondary because there are things that people can see. So it's a little easier for you to have been aware of those items, but still, there's a lot of surprises. Still a lot of surprises. Yeah.
So what would you say differentiates this profiling from what I've seen out there? It really seems deep, but what do you think is the key thing that differentiates this from what is out there that is trying to profile people?
So let's look at, and I don't have a drawing, but let's think about what coaches and what therapy and what everything offers to people, right? On the outer aspect, what is offered is a change of behavior. Okay, if you get up earlier, if you make your bed every morning, if you schedule things on your calendar, if you take this step, it will change your life. And then a little inward is the cognitive behavior, which I also use with my clients, neuro-linguistic programming, the NLP type of behavior, changing your mindset, changing your subconscious mind, even the hypnosis or guided meditation type of behavior, the cognitive changes. Also, like I do a baggage release, mental emotional release. You're getting a little closer to your inner being. Being profile and that philosophy of that type of awareness and understanding and coaching is way in the middle. That's your inner being. So if your cognitive behavior, let's say you have hypnosis to get over a fear of heights, well, that's great. Now you don't have your fear of heights. However, how you are being when you are in a state of fear is your true inner being. And if you were to change that behavior and how you are aware of that and how you react to that each time you feel it, now any fear you will be able to handle appropriately, and you'll be able to not freeze up, no matter if it's a fear of heights or a fear of speaking or whatever fear it is. So it's much more transforming from a very inner depth perspective.
I think I have a very good feel of the work. So the first thing is awareness. If you don't know yourself, you're going to just be reacting. And if you don't know yourself, if I can look at it from a person who is not a profiler and an expert at profiling, really, when you don't know what your DNA is made of, if you don't know your composition, if you don't know your values, your dreams, the things that you really, it's going to be very hard for you to make decisions or even live your life authentically because you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know yourself and you're not aware of your true values, you're really carrying values that were imposed on you by somebody else.
Well, they're beliefs. They're not actually values. Beliefs are things you formulate from other people's information or your religion or whatever. Yeah, it's not actually your unique values. Yeah.
You went to school, your parents, I don't know, I lived with my grandmother. She would have tried to make me believe some stuff. My parents would have done a lot to educate me. My school teachers and everyone has tried to put some belief system in me. And so until I stop and kind of go, but look, like who am I? What do I care about? What do I believe to be true besides, unless we stop, we're really running a life that is created by what we've gone through, our trauma, our experiences of the world. So the first part is awareness. And once you're aware, now you can live in integrity with yourself. Is that what it is? Like now you can actually be in integrity with the things you do, the things you believe, the things you accept, the things you don't. Now you're no longer doing anything to please anyone, because if it's not in integrity with who you are, you're not doing it.
Right. So there are exercises and
Mm,
ways and techniques on how to take when you become aware now of what
mm,
part of yourself needs to transform.
mm,
It starts by looking back certain amount of years when you experienced that particular way of being, like
mm,
fear or lack of confidence or whatever,
mm,
how you reacted to it, and then looking at, well, if I had a different out, if I reacted to it a different way, what would
mm,
have the outcome been? And
mm,
start writing that down, looking at that until you get to more present day,
mm,
and then you get to this week, and then you get to today. So then when you feel that particular or in that being, you
mm,
go, oh, I know this, I'm aware, I'm experiencing this, and it
mm,
happened to me because that's this being profile. Whatever you learn as a coach, you
mm,
actually better yourself, you learn to help yourself. And I experienced, I did a speech. I
mm,
public speaking, and I did not do as well as I would have liked. I did
mm.
not prepare well, and I knew that. And I beat myself up for 1.5 hours. That's all
Wow.
it took.
Wow.
And then I said, stop. I forgive myself. I
Mm,
know what I didn't do. Let me look at what I didn't do right, and I will change
mm,
it for next time. And let me figure out how to get out of this place. It was going outside, feeling the sun, taking a
mm,
walk, writing down what I have accomplished in my life, thinking about my what I'm grateful for, the blessings in my life. And then I sat down and I wrote an article about my experience to help others if they experience it also. And that was showing my vulnerability. I admitted I did something I did not like. It wasn't up to my standards. And I
mm,
was okay with it. But I know that next time I will handle it differently. And I was able to move forward and not sit for days beating myself up, which I know I would have done in the past. And that's what I try and teach women also. That's what part of this being profile
mm,
is actually, the fundamentals of decoding your behaviors and your decisions and
mm,
looking at what the results are and then changing them going forward. I have to say one thing, just taking a step back.
mm,
My mother, was a great lady, and
mm,
she gave me warnings about, um, being true to myself. She even
mm,
let me fail when I was going to go to college, and she worked really hard to get me in and at with grants and things, and I didn't go, and it was fears that stopped me. But she let me make my own mistakes so I could learn from them.
mm,
And she told me to don't get married young, get yourself, know who you are, and don't lose yourself in a marriage. It didn't matter. I did everything, it all happened to me anyway. But I do want to say it sometimes, it's not necessarily your parents, it's society, it's yourself, it's your experience in life. And you could be given the greatest advice and
mm.
still, have it not go as well as you would like. My mom tried, and she
Why
was
is
great.
that? Why wasn't your mom's saying, don't do this enough? Why did you have the information? I would imagine the awareness and still not do. What do you think happened there? Because there's a lot of people who have the information, they know what to do, they just won't do it. What happened there for you? Or what do you believe is standing in the way of people doing exactly what they know they should
My trauma as a child of being
do?
ugly and feeling invisible and
Mm,
not, I picked on and some tricks that even girls did on me,
mm,
was so strong and so embedded in my subconscious, I believe,
mm,
that it was how I behaved and how I thought. There was a lot of negative thoughts. So my mom could say, I mean, it was wonderful. She said, make your mistakes on your own and learn from them. Well, that
mm,
was great, but she didn't know how much that affected me as a child. I mean, I was very quiet about it. I was just quiet, period. Again, I wasn't someone who spoke out about myself. I mean, people said I was very talkative, but it wasn't necessarily about my personal feelings about things and how I was being affected by things. So even though she wanted me to make my mistakes, I had
mm,
trauma, which everybody has, baggage that you carry that just, it's overwhelming. your decisions are made by who you are and where you're at the time. And
Mm,
I thought that going back to school, even college, I
mm,
had moved to California after high school. I had gotten contacts, I had dates. I was like, this is a different life. This is wonderful.
mhm.
And I equated after that summer going back to college with going back to being a nerd. And it took 10 to 15 years to figure that out. And
Wow.
so I didn't go back to school. Now, I eventually was offered free, school, free education, and I went up to my master's through the
Mm,
telecom company that I worked for. Not necessarily what I wanted to do, what my passion was at the time when I was young, but
mm.
I did accomplish that, which was something I'm very proud of. Um, but yeah, I missed that boat early in my life. I had wanted to be a journalist. I had wanted to be Barbara Walters. So
This
now
is
I have a
this,
podcast and I
this
interview
this is
people and I think it's
interesting,
fascinating.
Lisa. This is
Yeah,
interesting. So what you're saying is whatever you see, whatever you do, whatever you hear, whatever decisions you make, you're making them through the lens of where you're at. And so
yeah,
if your lens is the lens fueled by trauma, that's it.
yeah,
Everything people tell you, you're gonna filter it in the lens of your trauma. At this point, though, I would imagine that we all need to do some trauma healing, at least to some
yeah,
extent.
yeah.
I don't know if there's anything that would be more powerful than trying to do your trauma work at this point. But I just don't understand, though, if you're like me who didn't go through anything significant as a child that I remember, if trauma work would help, even I probably should ask a trauma expert about that.
Well, think about it. The things
Mm,
that your father said to you. I remember in
mm,
our interview in my podcast,
mm,
that's it doesn't necessarily have to be where you would think it was this great event. It can
mm,
be the words that were told to you as a child that you have
mm,
carried with you, that um, whatever those words were, they have carried with you. That
mm,
where your parents said you need to be this type of person in order to be successful. Well, that's what you carried with you. And
mm,
so you kept thriving to be that person to be
mm,
successful.
mm,
And that wasn't what they were pushing you to be, wasn't necessarily who you were. So that's something, a baggage, that's rocks that you were carrying, I call it, in a bag your whole
mm,
life. Or even about money. How did you think about money? Was it that your
mm,
parents kind of thought about money as scarcity or as, oh, you just spend it all and go into debt, or whatever it
mm,
is that was displayed to you as a child about money is the way you perceive it now. I mean, I had a client who, a
mm,
young a young client who didn't feel she was in a way worthy of taking trips and going abroad. And she made decent money. She had a job. She didn't enjoy the job, so there was other things that we worked on to get, to a point where she was at a job that she enjoyed.
mm,
But I said, let's do a budget. And in that budget, put a spot for travel.
mm,
She just needed the permission to just put money away every month for travel. Give
mm,
herself permission to enjoy money. Because when she was a child,
mm,
that's not something that her parents did. They felt that money was scarce and there was no money to go traveling. That was frivolous.
mm,
So when she did that, now actually her new job, she's been traveling around the world, and she's taken trips with her friends, and she's living a different life. But that's part
mm,
of that can be the trauma. It doesn't have to be, a really terrible event. It can
mm.
just be, they're
I think
powerful.
everyone needs to give it a go and kind of scan and see if there's anything holding them back. I want to find a modality that helps someone like me who doesn't even know where to look. Because
Mm.
most of the modalities I see, people have trauma and they know it. But for
Right.
me, I do not know which parts of me has trauma. It could be from everywhere, from my dad, from my relatives, from my mom, from I don't know. It could be 100 things that traumatized me, and I do not know about them. So I am really looking forward for an expert who has something that can heal the trauma I don't know about, because I have no idea what traumatized me. It could be any of the million things that I went through in life. And unfortunately, I don't know if there is any particular one that is, I don't know, that is, I don't know. Like I would need someone who can do a cleansing without, asking me to find the pattern because I have no idea. I have no
Right.
idea where my
There's
identity came from. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a technique, and it is an NLP technique called mental emotional release. And
Mm,
it is the I want to say the conquest, I don't know, the journey of finding and discovering what it is that's holding you back, and then going through the process
mm,
of clearing that baggage. And it may be something that you're not totally aware of, but through the process that we put you through, that I would put
mm,
you through, you would have that discover and come up. So there's a couple things, right? The being
mm,
profile, which will uncover how you are truly being, which can also uncover where spots where trauma or something in your past has affected you. And then the
mm,
mental emotional release, which I like to call baggage release, that can clear whatever it is, even if you're not aware of where it came from, and
mm,
you clear that. And it's like, and I'm this is being recorded before I'm having the full training and being certified, but I have heard from people that have gone through it that it's like a whole load off your shoulders. Like you're carrying a bag of rocks. You don't know what's in that bag, but it's just stuff that's holding you back, things that just don't let you move forward, where you get stuck all the time and you
mm,
just don't understand why. And it just releases those bags of that bag of rocks. And it just makes you feel so much clearer about your path forward. So between those two things with my clients,
mm,
and I could do them on their own or as part of the whole program. Um, it's a way to release things. And my gosh,
mm,
when I released so much over, especially even the last 5 months, I mean, I went through a journey in 2023 where I dealt with a bout of breast cancer. I broke up with a long-term relationship and I retired kind of on about 3 months time. And it was the most life-changing experience I had in my entire life. And it
mm,
literally, through those experiences, I was able to be, and the being profile, because that was all part, it was all happening at the same time. Um,
mm,
I became so fully aware of myself, and happiness and joy and comfort in knowing that I was on the right path in my life. I mean, and I even shed friends that were not serving me well. And I was
mm,
made very aware of who they were and why. And it was just wonderful. A lot of people say, "Oh my God, I dealt with breast cancer," but no, I can truly say it, and I'm through it and everything. It was in the outcome in the end, it was good for me. It was
mm.
actually a good life-changing experience. Yeah.
Wow. Lisa, as we get to the close of the podcast episode, I would love you to talk into a woman right now who is going through a transition that could be losing her job, could be losing her partner, could be losing an identity she's cared about deeply. And probably your work would be the best thing for her because she now needs a new identity because she's been a mother too long and she doesn't know who she is because guess what? The kids have left home now and she's an empty nester, or she's
Right.
had a job for the whole of her life and now the job is gone and she's like, yeah, who am I really? Or she's had
Yeah.
this wife title and she's served and served and now the husband walked out and she's like, yeah, like you have no idea that I have now no identity. So I want you
Yeah.
to speak in their life. What does that transition look like? Where should she start?
Well, the first thing I like to start with is just
Mm,
asking them to talk about their
mm,
ideal day,
mm,
and just kind of, and that's what I start with, because I like to give my clients what I call a personal manifestation statement, and just talk. And I'm asking open-ended questions, and it's interesting when you start asking them what their ideal day is, it gives them permission to actually think about themselves.
mm.
That would be the first step. The next step would be giving them a list of values that everyone could have and having them rate it and finding out what their top 10 or so values are. What do they value as a unique human being?
Mm.
And then taking those values and transferring them to, what did you dream about? What did you think about when you were a kid? What
Mm.
did someone say? Oh, you do that so well. What did you do in your life as a child even, or a teenager,
Mm.
that you lost time? You did it and time just flew by and you really enjoyed it. And when you sit down with a woman who has completely lost who they are, and you ask them and you spend time to really listen and ask open-ended questions, you'd be amazed at what happens and what comes out.
Mm.
And doing the being profile will then discover more aspects of how they're being in the world. So there's all these steps to take. And then if you find out there's some heavy baggage, adding the baggage release, the mental emotional release process, and if they need boosts of confidence, there's also NLP techniques I can use to boost their confidence. But really, just being there and listening and asking open-ended questions so that they can discover who they are on
Mm.
their own
Mm.
is what's so important.
Tell us about the Woman Who Live podcast and why you started it, or movement, or empire. Tell us what that is about, why you created it, what you hope to achieve with that.
Well, I love sharing. So your brain, your subconscious mind really learns from stories.
Mm.
So I felt that getting and hearing stories about other women or some men also who
Mm.
leaped out of their comfort zone. And when they did, it was transformative and led to a much happier and fulfilling life, that
Mm.
it would help others. They would hear and see and understand that other people can do it. So can I. So these stories of people that have done that and been successful at it,
Mm.
and maybe had to do it 2, 3, 4 times. It's different kinds of leaps. It's, leaps of faith, different stories that it will touch. If it even helps 1 or 2 people, I'm really happy. And the ladies who leap came from understanding that when you make changes, when you take a leap of faith, when you do something new that is helping you to grow, it's uncomfortable, and that's okay.
Mm.
Because when you're uncomfortable, it means you're growing. And that's okay. I mean, I was uncomfortable in 2023 with all 3 things that happened. And it was the most transforming year of my life. And every single thing made me uncomfortable.
Mm. Everything that we are looking for is on the other end of the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
until you take that leap of faith, your results from yesterday may as well be the results for tomorrow.
You want to grow. I
Mm.
mean, I would think everybody wants to grow.
Mm.
There is a rare person. I don't think anyone, even, and if you ask, and I have to say, the Ashkan Teshbir, who created mostly himself, created the being profile,
Mm.
had interviewed something like 50 or so very successful people. He went through a 10-year period of really discovering what makes people successful in their life, in their relationships, everything. And the main thing they said is they were always learning. They were okay with failing,
Mm.
that they understood that failing was just a part of learning, and that they were okay with being uncomfortable,
Mm.
among all the other things. People that are successful, I mean, you've heard Oprah Winfrey talk all the time. You've heard all these very successful people say, when I started to do what I do and I'm successful at now, it wasn't easy. I'm
Mm.
not saying being a life coach is easy. It's
Mm.
difficult. You help life coaches in a lot of ways to understand that, getting a whole following, having clients, it's difficult.
Mm.
And you have to understand that if this is your calling and you are living your purpose, that you have to be patient and you have to continue. And you have to know that you're worthy of, even of charging people. I mean, there's a lot that goes along with it. And it's a wonderful journey, I feel, in helping others. And that's where the Ladies Who Leap came from.
I love it. What else do you have cooking in the background? What do you have? How do you help people? How do you want to help people? What projects do you have right now that we can do?
Well, I have, because to me, confidence is a big deal. Because if you have confidence, it helps with the leap, any kind of leap. So I have at leapwithconfidence.com, I provide you 3 steps through videos, and you can watch them at your own pace, and it's helping you know how to leap with confidence. And I would love to open that up to anyone. And then at the end, if you need any extra help or you're struggling with things, of course, they can reach me. And I'm at ladieswholeap.com. There's buttons all over the place to set up a free leap discovery call, and I can talk to them. There are other things, but like a Facebook group that's also Ladies Who Leap. So if you say Ladies Who Leap almost anywhere, or Lisa A. Coach, that's my moniker on a lot of social media, you will find me.
Amazing. Every link that would probably be relevant for Lisa and the work she's doing now would be rightfully in the show notes. Lisa, you've been amazing. You've been powerful. This has been powerful for anyone that is living a life they did not create, for anyone that is living a life they haven't thought through, for anyone that is drowned in people pleasing, and everyone that is running in the wrong direction. Stop and pause. What happened in the past 25 years of your life? In the last 25 years, what happened? Or even in the last 5 years, what happened? Is that happening in your consciousness? Is that happening because you understand what is happening? I think the question is life happening to you, or are you creating your life? I think from Lisa's talk, what I get is life can either happen to you or you can happen to it.
You either life, what is it? It happens to you or for you.
For you, yeah. I don't remember what people say. I just think in my head what I would say in that moment. But either life happens to you or it happens for you. And so in as much as life is happening to you right now, there is other people that life is happening for. And then you can create the life you want. So you have to make the decision to. If you look back and you don't like the last 5 years of your life, put your foot down and decide if you want the next 5 years to look the same. Because if you don't put your foot down and change something about the last 5 years, you can sure know what your 5 years next are going to look like, perhaps worse. And so really it's simple. Last 10 years, what did I like about that? What didn't I like about that? Next 10 years, what do I want to change? And I think there's nothing as powerful as being aware of all these things, of what is running the show of your life. So if they didn't do anything, I think take the profiling and really get to understand yourself. The way I look at the profiling, or the way I think of it, is like you're getting the user's menu of your life. You're literally getting to understand how your life operates, how you're beginning to understand the different parts and bits and patterns that make you as a person. And knowing that will help you to respect yourself, your boundaries, will help you to say no to things that don't serve you, will help you to avoid getting in the wrong partnerships, in the wrong relationships, in the wrong, I think, even businesses, in the wrong jobs. So I don't know what else to say about Lisa's work, other than you need to take that profiling. I don't know. I think it will be very helpful if people took that profiling and started from there. Where you feel like, I feel like right now, my happiness comes from outside. I feel like right now, I need people to like me. I don't know why, but I need people to like me. I feel like right now, I am a people pleaser. I don't know why though, but I'm a people pleaser.
We need to talk.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a people pleaser, me. I'm not. But like, I feel there's people who say I am a people pleaser. I'm not a people pleaser myself. Like, that's not my problem. My problem is the opposite. I probably need to care some bit what people think. Like I need to at least care 10% what the other person thinks of me. But I know there is someone right now going, yeah, that's me. If that's you, click in the description. There'll be every link. I think I want to put that profiling link there with Lisa, or get at least on a call with her and chat and see what the next step is. Lisa, what did we miss?
We covered a lot. I am so grateful to have met you and to have you on my podcast and me here today. You are an amazing woman, and you really are here, and you're strong and you're powerful, and you know who you are, and you know where you came from. And I'm just very honored to be someone that is your friend and to know you. So thank you. Thank you for doing the podcast. I'm glad you started it.
I take that in. Thank you. As I said to you when we started the show, if this served you and you know someone that needs to jump out of people pleasing into building a life that is theirs, that is authentically theirs, that is gonna allow them to really stop their life in the past. There's chapters that have passed, but there is new chapters. Your life continues, your story continues. So if you know someone that is perfect for this, over for 25, 40, 50, it doesn't stop. And they need to navigate a pivot in their life. Lost husband, don't know what to do. Lost job, don't know what to do. Lost an identity in some way. Got cancer, have no idea who I am now. This could be in different forms of, you know what, I really don't know who I am in this chapter of my life. And I need some help. I need direction. I need someone to hold the space for me. You're looking like for a midwife who's going to help you birth the life you want. That I think I call Lisa a midwife, in that she's going to help you, guide you, hold the space for you to birth your new life, your new identity, the life that you want. She's going to help you leap into that thing that you don't even see. The way that I look at the work she does, you don't even see the step. But she's saying, bring your foot, step here. By the time your foot lands down, there will be a step. And you either have to take the faith, and if you don't have it, you probably have to borrow her faith. But if you take the first step in faith, there will be a second step. The problem, though, is we are always stuck in not seeing the step that we never take it. And so if you take the step in faith, the second and third step, a next step will show. But it's up to you. I could talk to the cows comes back home, but really it's up to you to decide that, you know what, enough is enough. And I'm ready to move forward.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Please share this episode. Please do all of the amazing things. Rate, review, follow. I think there's other platforms that ask you to follow. So please follow, please subscribe, please rate the show, please give it a review. So I need you to help me build this community. And the way you can do it is, one, by sharing that episode that speaks to you with one person that it needs to land on. Not on social media, not on your story, no, just one person in their inbox who needs to hear it. 2, by rating. 3, by leaving an amazing review. And if you're on YouTube, just give me comments. Message me on Facebook and tell me what you hate, what you like. Prima Jope. I'm always open. I'm always in Messenger. Tell me what you like about the show. Tell me what you don't like about the show. I can guarantee you that I listen, I take action, and I am creating this in all honesty, because I don't know any better way to contribute to humanity than bring people with amazing work here that the world needs to make. So thank you for today. Thank you for your time. And I hope that this has truly served you in as much as it served me. Thank you, Lisa, for your wisdom. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prima.